I'm here with Man vs. Game. Talk Gears 4 with Rod.
Hey, how's it going?
Camera will spread out here any moment. I probably went too fast, and it's going to zoom out, and we're going to see everybody. And well, yeah. Well, all right, there we go. They were here. I was not lying. There were others here with me.
I was saluting for about 30 seconds there.
With a voice in your head, you're like, I'm here with some people.
I'm not alone, I swear. But cool, yeah. First off, Rod, way to go. Yesterday's presentation, kicking off the Microsoft conference. Gears 4 looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Love the weaponry. The way you interact with the environment looks great.
Thank you. Yeah, it was awesome to start off the show, and you know, I'm really proud of what the coalition has done. Yeah, it was great to kind of kick it all off.
It's looking gorgeous. Yeah, that buzzkill gun, definitely. I was just like, oh, man, can't wait to get my hands on that one.
Right. Yeah, those are two new, like the buzzkill and the drop shot, the two we're showing off, and it really comes from that 25 years apiece. Where do you get a new weapon from? So we really focused on the rebuilding, and so we took tools, and so the drop shot is sort of the Saren mining tool, and the buzzkill is sort of this concrete cutting, like that happens to be rigged to throw the blades instead of like, you know, so it's awesome.
I'm just curious, like, I mean, I'm sure you looked at Twitter afterwards and saw what the people's reactions were. What did you see, like, the most, like, you know, like, response from?
Yeah, it was just everything. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, when you know you have 7 minutes to do a demo, you really you're trying to find that part of the game that you can sort of pack it really dense of new features and things that are interesting. So, you know, we took our combat cover yank and stab, and we split it between two people, so we did sort of co-op execution, and then the co-op skeet shooting and the drop shot and the buzzkill and the you know, the drop shot execution, all that stuff. We're just trying to cram it forward, so everybody's just like, it looks great. So
and it did. But cool. What are we checking out now?
So this is taken from a demo we're doing in the booth right now. So we're doing a crossplay demo in our booth between 4K on Win 10 and working a crossplay with a Xbox One S. And basically, this is a part of what we call the Fort demo, which is really about getting a little bit more dark and mysterious and going and discovering the creatures. So, because that was one of the big things we announced yesterday, was the notion that we're part of one of the first titles of doing the Xbox Play Anywhere program.
Right.
Which means that when you buy it digitally, you get it on, like if you buy it digitally on Xbox One S or Xbox One, you get it on Win 10 for free.
I love that.
And it saves your progress and achievements, so that you can just move. You can go from, like, I was in my living room and then I was back at the office, and I can just pick it back up. You know.
That is so powerful. Yeah, the digital age, you don't want to be, you know, carrying on discs.
Oh, yeah. And then on top of that, on top of XPA, we are also doing crossplay. So now every co-op mode. So we have a co-op campaign, 2-player co-op. We have co-op multiplayer where you can play against bots. And then obviously we just introduced the Horde is back, Horde 3.0, and all that can be played cross-play between Win 10 and Xbox One.
Do you see, like, some rivalry between, like, you know, people using mouse and keyboard and controller? Because it'll be like, you know, one of the like, it's been a while since we've kind of seen, like, you know, the ability to kind of go in there where, like, you know, you have console players who can face off against, like, you know, keyboard, mouse, Windows 10 players. Like,
yeah, that's one of the reasons we went with the co-op. We stuck with all the PvE. So there's like everywhere you can do PvE in the game is where you can do crossplay.
Gotcha.
So we're currently not supporting competitive.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Demystified for me. Awesome.
So this is a creature that's being attacked. This is our Juvie. This is one of the things we wanted a flusher character that would sort of drive you out of cover and push you back. And also we wanted to, like, take this really highly mobile character to kind of start getting you ready for multiplayer and the wall bouncing.
Right.
So the Juvie kind of does that for you. It's like once you get used to sort of dealing with all these Juvies, you get a little bit more comfortable in multiplayer.
So they're kind of like the warm-up, like, enemy.
Yeah,
you,
exactly.
Like, used to that.
Yeah, they're kind of our, you know, like I said, they kind of get you out. Like, these are the drones, and these guys are, we call them mirrors. They do what the player does. They take cover, they use weapons, and that's how you get that cover gameplay, is by having mirrors. But you see there is, like, you're able to drop pods down to create cover, because one of the big innovations for us was, like, we're just like, how do we push dynamic cover?
Sure.
Right? And so, like, I can create cover by bringing down pods, and then they can take that cover away by popping the pod, or I can take their cover away. We have, like, nests where you can go into and use as a foxhole, or we have the weather coming in and blowing cover away or bringing cover in. So we want it to feel like when you leave a battlefield, it's different than when you came to it. So here's an example of the buzzkill. So the whole, like, being able to bounce it off the environment, and you know, it has, like, up to 4 reflections. So you get this whole notion of being able to, like, bounce around, because, you know, once you get people in the cover, you want to find ways to help kind of, like, get around it. And so the drop shot here, which is the one that's going over, like, we lost the digger when we lost the locust, so the digger was a creature.
Right.
So that used to go under cover. So this now goes over cover. So it's able to get over top of them, and when you let go of the trigger, it goes straight down and blows up.
That's gotten me quite a few times in the beta.
Yeah. And then the buzzkill can go around, because you can just bounce it off. So there's a lot of cool shot with guys, like, entrenched in cover. You're like, you know, if I shoot it over here, and then, like, ding, 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 and you'll get them.
You're not as safe as you think you are,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, you start getting the billiards, you know, type thinking going on there.
Yeah, and this is one of our new creatures, the Pouncer. And the Pouncer was actually served multiple roles. It's what we call a pinner with its quills you see there. It'll actually force you to get into cover like a turret does. And then once you do that, it'll jump onto your cover and knock you out like a flusher, so it makes you get out and scramble. And then it was really one of the first creatures we designed for co-op. We were like, we want a co-op gameplay creature. So this one will actually pin you to the ground, and then you have to get a buddy to come and knock him off and free you. And so that it really kind of forces co-op play.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
And here you can actually chainsaw them. If you weaken them, you can
oh.
chainsaw them midair as they jump on top of you.
Okay, yeah. Like he's in trouble there.
It's not as easy as it looks, though, right? No, right.
No, you have to watch the belly. You have to weaken them up and get them to a place where they're vulnerable to that, and then you can either shotgun them out of the air or you can chainsaw them out of the air.
It looks like it really keeps you on the move, though. Like, you can't, like, stay somewhere for too long, it seems like. You're, like, the enemies and the environment will force you to kind of, like, keep, like, you know, dynamic on, like, the...
Yeah, well, we don't want it to be so, like, you just stick in one spot and just stay there forever. And that's why you have flushers. Like, you want people using cover, but then you want to say, like, hey, now I'm going to take it away and rush you. And so being able to scramble, too. And when you get multiple pouncers where, like, you think you can deal with one, and then all of a sudden, like, 2 more come in, you're like, oh, crap, like, how do I deal with, like, being pinned and flashed, and now I'm getting pounced, and I need help. And
How do you deal with that? Honestly, I'm trying to think of, like, what the...
Teamwork.
There you go.
A lot of talking, a lot of conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool.
Like there are tons of new features, weapons.
Yeah, there's a ton. You know, and the Horde is back, which is great. You know, that's something that we've got the most sort of pressure to talk about. It was like, hey, come on, you know, I'm not going to pre-order until I hear about Horde. So announcing that it's back is great, and that's our new icon for Horde here on my shirt.
Looks really sexy, by the way.
Yeah.
I like it.
Speaking of looking sexy, what is this item you have down here?
Yeah, this is this is our custom controller.
Can we get a close-up on just the case? Like, because the case looks really nice.
Yeah, it's got the new Lancer on the front, and so we wanted this idea of like, hey, I want to be able to pick up my weapons, so you can go to the. There you go.
There we go.
There it is.
I really should have got a manicure before this.
I know.
You're good, man. You're good, man. Look disgusting. Don't worry about it.
I bite my nails.
I'm not a hand model, as you can tell. And then if we open it up, so we go inside, and then you've got this sort of beautiful.
Look how nice that is.
That is sick.
The claw marks, the blood.
It's all laser etched inside, so you get this really deep laser etching to get the claw. We want it to feel like it had survived the battle, so it's got a blood splatter.
Wow.
If you look at it, it's got this really cool. What I like is the weapon selectors
on
here, where
the
you can see the weapons.
Sick.
And we have the little venting from the weapons, and then you got like there's a bloody fingerprint by the triggers, and blood on the paddles on the back with fingerprints, and then you got the Phoenix Omen inlay with the foil.
That is nice.
I want to keep that out of sight around my girlfriend, Mrs. Violence, because she will.
And this is the Elite controller.
This is the first custom Elite.
You can like take this thing apart, swap it out with the ones
and you can change it, and it might even be a little like secret message underneath where it says "Grub Killer" inside on the.
Wow!
That is nice. Mrs. Violence would go absolutely.
I know, right?
Yeah,
I had to drop that in there because she would probably punch someone in the face.
Yeah, when's her birthday, right? Like,
exactly. Oh yeah, good call, Swifter.
As long as it's not me, as long as she doesn't punch me in the face.
No, she would never.
But so lots of great stuff. I mean, one of the things I wanted to like with Horde in terms of like. We wanted to go back to the feeling of Horde. Did you play Horde?
A little bit, yeah.
I played a good ton of just the wave after wave
after
wave.
Like in Gears 3, we had this sort of like tower defense. We had like fixed emplacements, and you went and you activated them or upgraded them. Mm-hmm. But I really sort of pined for the Gears 2 Horde, where it was very emergent. You placed shields, you placed grenades, you fought wherever you could, and you scrambled a lot. And so we were like, how do we bring emergent gameplay back? And so we've really changed up Horde to be a lot more emergent and being about, you know what, it's playable on every multiplayer map again.
Right.
And we already announced we're doing 24 maps as part of our free DLC.
That's a lot of maps to work with.
That's a lot of Horde, yeah, that's right, exactly. But now they're like a sandbox, so you can go and build where you want to build what you want to build, and just play sort of scrambling based on your own wits, not just like turning on fortification. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Very cool. I do yearn those like, Gears 2 kind of like Horde days and just like, getting up on like the encampments like on this. Anyway, yeah. I'm looking forward to bring that feeling back.
Absolutely.
But that's also like, what's next for you guys? You guys are so close to like,
Yeah, I mean, we just sort of, you're coming over the edge now. Like, we're getting down into that glide slope of like, we're just polished now to get to the end. It's so close. So it's been great, though. I mean, it's for me sort of bringing to a new team Gears, and so I sat down in my house and we just played through the entire campaign in one sitting. Like, just said like, we're energy drinks and pizza, and like we're just getting through it in one, just to feel it as one thing.
So cool.
And then we just played 50 waves of Horde on hardcore, and like, let's get through a 50 wave. What is that like? And so we're just chewing through the game over and over and over again to iterate and find and polish and stuff. So we're really excited about where it's going.
A very enjoyable grind. It sounds like. I wonder if you guys need some help with that. You let me know.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. We can always use more help.
But as far as the characters go, are there any that you feel like you're closer to than others in terms of? I'm sure we'll learn a lot about that as we actually play the game. But like you've played through it a few times, you've like helped build this rebuild this world. Like
yeah, it's been interesting from a tone perspective. When we started going into it, we're looking at like, hey, let's look at Gears 1 through 3 as sort of the Tim Burton Batman. We're using like it's very over the top, very exaggerated, very comic booky. And so when we started with Gears 4, we're like, hey, you know what? We're going to go Dark Knight. We're going to take Christopher Nolan. We're going to go that way. But then when we started doing all the writing and brought ourselves to it and brought the cast to it, it felt too dark. And so we actually, in terms of just the, taking yourself too seriously.
Sure, yeah.
And so that's why you'll hear, like when you watch the demo from the stage, there's a little bit of banter, some back and forth, some cheesy jokes. It's kind of like what makes Gears Gears. And so we're not going all the way back to the Tim Burton because we're more a contemporary game. It's 10 years later.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to go so dark and so serious that you didn't want to be in that world having fun. So we have to keep Gears a little bit and alleviate some of that tension with some humor. So
absolutely,
that's part of what we're doing. But yeah, I love our cast. You saw Laura on stage,
right?
Amazing as Kate, and same with Liam as JD Phoenix and Eugene as Dell. Like they're so close, like off mic. Like the part of it is we would do ad lib sessions in the booth, and they would just start riffing off each other, and that's a lot of where the personality came from.
Wow,
what the actors brought to it.
Sounds like that kind of magic really makes a difference in shows in the game too. When we see that stuff happen between like characters and actors and whatnot.
There's a lot of great stuff where we let them go in and just ad lib to stuff, right? And so like back in last year's where you hear that like, well, you're glowing now, so that's good. That was Laura just ad lib that in the session, and it was just those sorts of things are what happens. What magic happens when you just put them in front of the game and turn on the mic.
I think that's very powerful too, because you can go too dark and then it's just like a one note. You're kind of monotonous after a while. So you got to keep it light a little bit.
And we're a monster game, but and so we wanted to bring that tension back, and so there's still that. Like so we're kind of going back to that Gears 1 feel of dark and tense, and but at the same time, like I said, Gears has this amazing ability to go from sort of comic book cheesiness to deep emotional moment of like Dahmer and the Maria scene. And so the fact that we have a franchise that can do that, can kind of switch gears like that, is no pun intended, is something that we're really proud of, and we want to kind of keep that going, right? So
absolutely.
So one thing I'm curious about, and does steer a little bit away from Gears 4, but like, how about like the General Ram appearance in Killer Instinct? How did that make you feel? I'm sure you knew about it for a long time, but like, what was your like general feeling about that?
About time was my first reaction.
About time.
Yeah, I mean, General Ram is like a really classic sort of villain.
I just kind of see him as the killer of bald men, so it's especially fearful like of me like, no!
Yeah, it's really the killer of bald men. That's terrible.
Ram,
That's terrible.
No, another one of my brethren.
Well, it was great to revisit him for Ultimate Edition, and
right.
so then when the Killer Instinct guys reached out, we were like, absolutely. And I was watching them being played yesterday at the showcase, and they're big barbarian. Their big guy is Tusk, and
right.
He makes Tusk look like this 10-year-old boy over there.
Yeah,
it's so huge.
That's badass.
So it's great that people finally get to play him, and yeah, it's awesome.
Very cool. So last thing, what can people check out while you guys are here? If they're here at E3, what can they check out at the Microsoft booth?
Yeah, the big thing is basically our theater demo. So we got this cool 50-person theaters all themed up as Gears of War, but be able to see that cross-play of co-op campaign. So you get to see the 4K Win 10 experience live. We haven't none of the assets that we put out, no B-roll, no screenshots, no demo that we've done on stage. All that's pure Xbox One. So anything you see coming out of us right now is all Xbox One.
Sweet. That is actually really awesome.
So if you want to see what 4K Win 10 looks like, you come by the theater and you'll see it in crossplay with an Xbox One S.
Okay, I actually want to see that.
Yeah,
I want to see 4K like Gears 4.
Yeah, it's very cool. We did a little like Vine on really close to the TV with my screen, the phone, and got this the raindrops going off of JD's armor. So if you check my Twitter and look at the pinned tweet, you'll see the little bit of rain going. But what people don't know is that's literally like one corner of the screen. Yeah. Because people are like, oh, I'm not so it's giving me like crits on it. I'm like, dude, it's like this big on the screen. I just went really, really close. Like the fact that we have that level of detail, like the individual rain droplets going down his armor is so
That
awesome.
is insane. I'm sure the team over there is really proud of that level of detail.
Oh,
Right?
Yeah, the team is killing it up in Vancouver. It's just one of those things where you get really, you're representing their work. I don't know how to work the editor. I'm not the one in there doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And so it just, to be able to stand up there and represent their work is just such a privilege.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The reveal yesterday just looks so amazing, with all the environment, weather effects and everything.
Yeah, well, that's a big part for us. We call those wind flares, and again, I was trying to create that dynamic battlefield. And in the first one last year, we certainly looked like it was an environmental, like a background ambient thing.
Yeah.
We really wanted to show that idea of storm wall comes, lightning flurries.
Yeah, it looks stunning just like that, but, just trying to imagine that in 4K is
Yes.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah. Very intense, very intense.
But Rod, thank you very much for coming by and showing us more Gears 4. I'm really excited. I want to go check it out in 4K. But congratulations once again on an awesome presentation. I'm really psyched for the launch.
Thanks.
So, dude, thanks for coming by.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was great.
So guys, hang tight. We'll be back with some more E3 action really soon. Thanks, dudes.